Hey, hi everyone. My name's PK, and here I'm joined by a client of mine, Rahul, who's secured two properties in the last 5 months. And in this video, we'll be going through how he secured these properties, his background, and he'll be giving you some really interesting and important golden nuggets so that you can achieve these outcomes as well. So, Rahul, thank you so much for making time
No,
for
no,
this
it's my
session.
pleasure. I've actually seen a few of your client interviews myself, and it's always been inspiring. And if this video could inspire a few other people, then I'd be really thrilled. Go out there and get some decent properties. That's really great.
Thank you. Thank you. So here are the details of the deal. So the first property he bought a couple of months ago, I think two or 3 months ago now, the purchase price was $410,000. The rent is $450, already rented, settled and rented. It's only 750 meters from the beach. We're talking in Perth, block size 703 square meters, so nice big block. And there's just classic positive cash flow, high growth property. It's already doing really well. And the second property is in Adelaide, so completely different state. And by the way, Rahul lives in Sydney. Neither does he live in Perth, nor does he live in Adelaide. So the second property was bought even cheaper, 361,500. Recent sales for, kind of comparable properties, we're talking in that part of the suburb, 3 bedroom, 1 bathroom, are really going from between 400 to 450. So, you could say that in a large way, this was an under market value deal. If you think about it from that perspective, the rent is 360 a week. So positive cash flow once again. And when we speak about positive cash flow, we mean that 88% LVR on an interest only basis, block size 694. So once again, big block of land. And once again, like both of these suburbs have been rising consistently month after month after month. It's not been easy to buy in these areas, which I'll ask Rahul about in a few minutes as well. But overall, tremendous result, tremendous effort, tremendous outcome. And before I get into the questions, I just want to say, Rahul, congratulations.
Thank you, VK. Couldn't have done without you and your mentorship. Yeah.
No problem, no problem. Happy to help. So I think the first question I'll ask Rahul is, just kind of give everyone a context of who you sort of are, maybe to the extent that you're comfortable sharing. What do you do for a living? What was your property journey before you bought these two properties, before you did the Property Investment Accelerator? Just kind of paint that picture so that maybe, hopefully, thousands of people watching can kind of put themselves in your shoes as well.
Yeah, sure. So I'm basically a mechanical engineer. I migrated from India a couple of years back to Sydney. My wife is in IT, so we were actually starting from scratch in Australia. So we had to come and search jobs after reaching here because we got our PR, and so it took around 4 or 5 months to settle down. And I was actually thinking about doing some investments because keeping money as such in the bank is not going to do any good. And I was actually researching a lot. And towards the end of 2020, I was actually seriously thinking about, after we worked for almost a year and we had a decent savings to actually invest. So I was thinking about investment. So I was looking a lot of YouTube and Facebook groups and all. So precious metals, stocks, property, and
precious metals.
Okay. Yeah, gold, silver, and stuff that also came in between. So I mean, I have absolutely zero knowledge about any of these, and but somehow when I started going deep into the property, I felt like that's kind of a stable investment, even though it's a slow and a long-term investment. I kind of felt more comfortable doing that rather than investing in stocks, and a sudden crash could, we could lose everything. So that's how I decided that I wanted to do some investing in property. And later, again, the research started going on. So around a couple of months, I actually was trying to find the right people, to be honest. So a few Facebook groups, and first thing I learned was listening to podcasts and being active in a couple of the Facebook groups. I first learned how to avoid the spruikers. So
You learned the word
actually,
spruikers.
yeah, exactly. So you can see this, these Facebook ads wherein they say that they can be your mentor, and I actually attended a couple of those. Don't want to name them, but yeah. So actually, I could identify how they are operating, and I clearly understood their way of managing. I just wanted to stay clear of them, and I wanted to get some professional help. But again, it was confusing. I know that there are a few, not a lot of mentors like you who does this. Maybe I have actually talked to another agency as well, but I felt kind of more comfortable and convincing coming with you. That's why I actually ended up signing with you. And also there are buyers agents again. And you know that I almost ended up going with a buyer's agent. I
I
already
remember
paid.
that. Yeah, I remember that
Yeah.
one.
So after paying them, I actually, that's when I started actively following your content in YouTube and Facebook. And I kind of felt like after following your content, I felt like it made a lot of sense what you were talking. And so the only reason after we had our first conversation, the only reason why I went to a buyer's agent was because I was not confident that I could do it myself, especially interstate, without someone over there. So I was not fully convinced that I could do that even with someone mentoring me. But then after following your content and seeing some of the client interviews and the YouTube videos, I felt like probably that's possible. So that's when I went back to the buyer's agent, got the money back. They were kind enough to refund the whole money.
Yeah.
And yeah, I signed up for the course, and yeah, all good from then.
I think that's really interesting because it's a common thing, like you were thinking, because you're brand new to property investing, buying interstate, there's kind of that daunting feeling of, this is just all too hard, lacking confidence. How am I going to make sure the property is good? What if something happens to it? I really just need to outsource this to an expert. And I know you mentioned to me who you used, and anyone who's watching this video will also be watching their videos because they're also on YouTube. So yeah, I just really, it's kind of repetitive and kind of boring coming from my mouth to say, even if you're brand new, you don't need a buyer's agent. But it's actually a really good example from you, Rahul, that you got that, whatever, $10,000-$15,000 back, and you got a couple of properties. You were brand new. It's not like you were experienced or anything, and you bought 2 interstate properties. So I remember when we had that meetup in Sydney, and a lot of people came. We went till midnight. It was a lot of fun. And I think the next day, right, you gave me a call. I think you built that trust up because we saw each other and things like that. And it's kind of, for anyone who's watching as well, it's kind of, for someone who operates a business like me, it's kind of like a huge responsibility that, you have someone who's brand new into property investing that has just given up their chance to work with a buyer's agent, and now they're putting all their hopes in your system or your mentoring. It's kind of like a big responsibility as well. So you kind of feel that, I don't want to say like weight or pressure, but there's some sense of responsibility. So it's always great to then come full circle 5 months later, 2 properties. It's, it feels good for me as well. And so like, let's fast forward. So like, I've already shared the details of those positive cash flow properties, but one thing I wanted to deep dive into, and guys, if you are missing out on properties, this next 2-3 minutes will be super interesting and super useful. And so please hit subscribe, turn notification bell on. Rahul, you also missed out on a lot of properties. It's not that you put in 2 offers and you got 2 properties, right? What are some pieces of advice that you can give to everyone who's watching or listening, maybe in terms of mindset or maybe in terms of technical advice, if people are sort of been giving offers after offers after offers and agents have not been returning their calls, or agents have been sending them the contract for sale but then reneging on their commitment, it becomes frustrating. Like, what did you do about it? What kind of advice can you give to everyone who's watching?
So after doing your course, I was narrowing down my suburbs, and initially I actually found a few suburbs in Adelaide, which were really good. And every time I hit out, like I was trying almost in May, the whole of May, I was trying in Adelaide, but I couldn't succeed. I mean, I couldn't even come near. There will be like 50 or 100 people competing one house. So that's when you have this weekly group mentorship calls as well. So you give tips on how to, how to buy in a hot market. So I remember in one of the sessions you said not to pursue too much in only hot suburbs. So you can also look at suburbs using data, where maybe in a couple of months it will be hot, but now it's not that hot. So that's what I followed, and that's when I decided to go to Perth. And yeah, I mean, there's this stigma that Perth people are afraid to invest in Perth, but I'm happy that now, like my purchase was in July, but in that area I could find houses in 440, 450, and not exaggerating, one of the houses sold maybe a superior house at 510,000.
510.
I'm not telling there's a 100K difference. Probably there will be something superior with that, but still, that configuration is actually selling in that area for much more than what I bought.
Yeah.
So yeah, one of the tips is not to just concentrate only on hot suburbs. You can actually find suburbs which is really good and which can be very hot. It's only a matter of a few months. You can actually identify those suburbs, and you can, when you have a good chance right now to actually negotiate and get a good price, at least you can pay the market value, if not low. So that makes a lot of sense. And for my second property as well, I didn't want to go to Adelaide, to be honest. I was actually I was trying parallelly at 9 suburbs in some of the regional areas, and mostly I think all were regional areas. Very good data, but not that hot compared to Adelaide. But what I did was, I don't know, it's something that entered my mind. Initially, I felt like I wanted some property in Adelaide, because I felt like I tried there, but I didn't. So in between, I used to try and search in Adelaide as well. Just go to real estate and see if there's some listing. And I was about to buy one property in a regional area, which is a good suburb. But then on the same day, I found this one. While that was very, I don't know, I was just casually looking at it, and this property popped up, and I just made that offer, and I was surprised that he came back, and it all worked out. So if again, I didn't concentrate on Adelaide, because if I had concentrated in Adelaide, it could have taken me a few more months, or maybe I couldn't have bought it. So it's always good to find that not that 100% perfect suburb, but to find suburbs where you can actually practically buy faster, but at the same time you can also browse whatever hot suburbs you want and try your luck. That's what I would advise.
That's great advice. And maybe just to add to that as well, on top of that advice, once you have these suburbs selected using data, you can find, like you said, Rahul, those that are relatively cooler, about to become hot. But once you've honed in on the suburbs, it's not a case of going round in circles on realestate.com or Domain, because you're so honed in on a particular type of criteria, and you just pulse, you just check whether something's on there. If not, you just wait for the next day. Pulse, wait for the next day. You know exactly what you're looking for. And when you see it, just like you were sort of casually looking at Adelaide, then you can just pounce. I think that's the best thing about being laser focused, which is obviously one thing that structured education or data allows you to achieve. And kind of like the stock standard question, I think I have like 50 of these client interviews on YouTube now, and everyone I always ask, because still to this day, people think that if you buy interstate or if you buy outside your backyard, you need a buyer's agent. So let me ask you the standard question. How did you buy outside where you live without a buyer's agent? So obviously the answer is a property manager. How did you build trust in the property manager? How did they do your inspections for you? How did you, build up the courage to do it without catching flights, which you couldn't anyway in Sydney?
Yeah, I mean, with respect to buying interstate, I think that is one of the highlights, the main USP of your course, where you can actually be in Sydney or Melbourne, and you can find whichever suburb you want in Australia, and you can actually buy the property. That's without spending money on a buyer's agent. That's great. I think in the course there is a dedicated area wherein you actually tell how to find a property manager, what to do, what not to do for buying Interstate. So I just followed the exact procedure that was mentioned. So just find the best performing property managers. There are a few recommendations from your side as well. So if it's an area where somebody has not bought, then definitely you tell how you can actually find a good performing property manager, which is very crucial, and just interview them. And going back to the course, I actually refer the course a lot. So based on the course, you actually ask those questions, and you find out maybe in my case, what I did was because there are it's a hot market, and I cannot put an offer on one and then wait for 1 week or a day. So I was actually in a scenario where I was putting in multiple offers, and I was actually using maybe a couple of property managers in a suburb. So obviously, if I go with a property manager for inspecting one property, I'm going to stick with them. But I've been, because it is not possible for them also to actually go through all the listings coming in that suburb. So I was actually using multiple property managers. Again, based on the same criteria which you taught for narrowing down. So in Adelaide, I think there was a recommendation from you. So it was already PK approved, so I didn't have to do anything. I just went with them. That's all.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And once again, I just want to highlight, like you've said, Rahul, that I think mortgage brokers are great. I think conveyancers, quantity surveyors, accountants are all essential parts of your team, but property managers are just so essential. For me, they're the most important part of your team, especially if you want to buy Interstate. So, and in fact, many buyers agents just use the same process. A Sydney-based buyers agent that's national, they're engaging property managers to do inspections for their clients anyway. So you just skip the middleman, do it yourself. It's not rocket science. And just before we finish off, Rahul, if I can cheekily ask you the question like I do every time, for those people who are on the fence, they're thinking, hey, I do want to buy Interstate. I do want to buy my first, second, third, fourth, fifth investment property. I don't know how to use the data effectively. I don't know how to negotiate. I don't have a team, or, lack confidence, too much information online. They're on the fence of doing the Property Investment Accelerator. Maybe they've been watching my YouTube. What's a shameless plug that you can give my course that will instill confidence in them?
Look, I don't know how many of those who are listening could relate to this, but it has happened more than once to me that when you're in an unknown terrain, it makes a lot of sense to use professional help. So it's like you using Google Maps when you don't know the place. So when I came to Australia, I remember the first two to 3 months, I was actually struggling to get a job. I was literally sending hundreds of resumes, and I was not getting a lot of callbacks. That's when I decided, okay, I'm not doing something right. I actually tried to understand how I can improve it, and I actually got some professional help. So this guy actually helped me fine-tune my resume, and he taught me how to use LinkedIn platform. He actually taught me how to find the key people and how to interact with them, including how to email them. So there are lots of things. These are not, when you think about it, it's all simple things. But when I started doing that, I started getting calls. And within the next 2 months, I got 3 offers, which I couldn't even dream about. And I could choose from those 3 offers too. So it actually made a lot of difference. So similarly, I could relate that here as well. So not that I tried doing it on myself in property, but I knew that I know nothing about property investment. I wanted professional help. My only concern was whether to use a buyer's agent or a mentor like yourself. With the buyer's agent, yes, there could be great buyer's agents. But again, one thing that struck me was when I'm paying that 10 or 15,000 to a buyer's agent, maybe the argument is that they may be able to find a property under market value, maybe for that 10 or 15,000, which is not entirely true. You can find an under market value yourself, which through your course for sure. But even if they can find that under market value 10 or 15, I would rather do it on my own, because I'm actually paying from my pocket 10 or 15,000. Whereas when I'm for a property, if I'm buying, giving that extra 10 or 15,000, that's added to the loan. So it's actually, when you convert it to the loan, the EMI will be very less. So in other words, if I'm actually paying $15,000 for each two properties, I couldn't have bought these two properties. So the first property, I'm already out of deposit. So I thought it made more sense doing it yourself, provided you have the right advice. So I mean, for somebody like me who have no background in investing, who's not very good with numbers or statistics, so I could actually do it. I'm not telling it was very easy, because I remember because the market is so hard, and because I was trying in different suburbs. So I remember some days I used to put in even 2 or 3 hours of effort calling in property managers and calling agents. So that's because of the market is so hard. And look, if you're somebody who is ready to put in the effort, then definitely you can also, irrespective of what profession you are in, you can actually do that, because this is not dependent on a person's skill or on buying the property. It's actually a scientific method of doing it. And when you have that listed right from the beginning, like what to do and how to do step by step, and somebody to guide you, I don't see anywhere where you can go wrong. I mean, there's nothing wrong. So I mean, with regards to your second part, where if somebody has to do the course or not, I think it depends on the person's strategy. For me, I was ready to put in that extra effort, and I had the time, and also like I didn't want to use a bias agent. And in my strategy there, I wanted to buy residential properties, and it was a buy and hold strategy. For a seasoned investor who's already having some properties and who wants to do commercial development or maybe subdivisions, maybe they might need more info. But for somebody who wants to build their portfolio with residential properties, then definitely the course is gold, and no two ways about it.
No, well said. I think that's a really good balanced answer. And I think maybe the two ingredients that allowed you to get success, and probably a litmus test of whether people watching should do the course or not. The first one, is a soft skill, you could say. It's humility. If you're coming into the course thinking, I already know a lot, you may already know a lot, but that might not be the right type of knowledge. So you need to have a level of humility coming into the course. The course is not just one piece of the jigsaw puzzle, it is the jigsaw puzzle. So if you're looking to do it to just add more to your repertoire of knowledge, that's just going to create a soup of conflicting ideas and concepts and opinions. You need to just go with the data, because the data works. So that's the first thing, humility. And the second thing is energy. Doing a course, any course, including this, is not a magic wand or a silver bullet or a flick of a switch on a wall. You need to do work. It's not a part-time job, but nonetheless, you need to set aside, call it 4, 5, 6 hours, whatever it is, a week. Sometimes it will be much less. Sometimes it will be a little bit more. You need to do the work. So if you're not looking to do the work, and if you're coming in with an attitude of, I already know so much, what can this actually offer me? Then probably it's not an idea to do the course. But if you come in with humility and you're ready and willing to do the work, the results are guaranteed. And I can be confident to say that. So just like you've achieved, Rahul. And so what's next for you? I know you mentioned that you're maybe 6 months away or something like that from your next property, but what are the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years maybe look like in terms of property investing?
To be honest, when I started, I wanted to buy properties and then hold them. But now that I'm getting more knowledgeable in this area, I think maybe if I could find somebody whom I can, a genuine person who can trust, someone like you who is operating in, say, commercial development, or maybe someone can help me with giving that some good advice in subdivision and all. Probably I'm okay to try my hand there. It's there also, but it's just that I want to ensure that person can be trustworthy. So
Yeah.
so like I say, if I could find someone like you in that space, I'd be happy to do that. Otherwise, I cannot do that alone. For sure.
Yeah, sure. No, once again, congratulations, Rahul. And for everyone that's watching, I hope that brought you a lot of value. If it did, there's another 40, 50, 60 interviews just like this on a playlist called Client Results on YouTube. So if you want real stories from real people sharing real experiences, warts and all, then there's probably 50 hours of binge watching there. Go check it out. Otherwise, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on. Most importantly, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, and that way it will reach more and more people. My name's PK, and this is Rahul. And if you have any questions, leave them below. I'll definitely answer them. And if you are a trustworthy person that knows how to do subdivision, then leave your details below. Maybe Rahul will contact you. All right. Thanks so much, Rahul. Take care.
Okay, PK. Bye.